Hello, my name is Indah Melindasari and I'm Registered Migration Agent in Wonderland Consulting, Australia. I'm hoping all of you are safe and sound during these unprecedented times. Australian immigration rules keep changing all the time, which affect visa applications. To keep up to date on all the latest immigration news, please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the logo in the right-hand corner and click subscribe. As you may know, there are many immigration changes in December 2020. And today, I would like to give you a summary for all Australian regulation changes. There are 10 new changes that has been announced in December 2020 as a concession for this current situation. As you can see on the screen, here is the list of the new changes. Okay, so number 1, COVID-19 concessions plan for employer-sponsored TR visa holders. Number 2, COVID-19 concessions for skilled regional visa 887 visa applicant. Number 3, allocation update for Northern Territory Skilled Migration Program. Number 4, PMSOL Priority Migration Skilled Occupation List Update, New Occupation. Number 5, Australian government continues its international travel ban until March 2021. Number 6, COVID-19 update for temporary visa holder nightmare as Australia's border remains closed. Number 7, hope for Australians to travel overseas, and this is in regards to the regulation of a Trans-Tasman bubble. Number 8, update Australia's business and investment visa changes. Number 9, COVID-19 update, 2 visa program to reopen in Victoria. And number 10, options for parent migration, Australia during pandemic. Okay, so let's start with the changes. Number 1, COVID-19 concessions plan for employer-sponsored TR visa holders. At this time, the Department of Home Affairs Australia is planning to give COVID-19 concessions for visa subclass 482 and 457 holders for their permanent resident pathway via visa 187 and visa 186, as many of these visa holders face difficulties in meeting all the requirements due to the COVID-19 pandemic. By giving COVID-19 concessions or updating the regulation for these temporary visa holders, the Australian government hopes it will bring more flexibility for the permanent residency visa applications. There are 2 regulations changes for 2020-2021, which are going to affect visa subclass 482 TSS, 457, 187 RSMS and 186 ENS or Employer Nomination Scheme are as follows. The first one, reduce working hours COVID-19 concessions, higher income threshold age exemptions under TRT stream COVID-19 concessions. The concessions regarding COVID-19 pandemic will apply to the application made on or after the 1st of February 2020, but before the 24th of November 2020. It is also applicable to all applications made on or after the 24th of November 2020. The COVID-19 concession seems to benefit those visa 482 and 457 holders who want to apply for visa 186 or 187. Along with the COVID-19 concessions, the visa 482 and 457 holders who have applied and fulfilled the 2 or 3 years requirements of full-time working do not need to worry about the possibility of delaying the visa 186 or 187 TRT stream application process. These visa holders are also still eligible for the age exemptions, even though they have not met the Fair Work high income threshold due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, there is still a chance for visa 482 and 457 holders to get a permanent residency through visa 186 or 187 TRT during COVID-19 pandemic. The new regulation for visa 186 and visa 187 requirements is aimed to alleviate the visa holders' burden during the COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, along with the new regulation, it is hoped that the temporary sponsored workers can continue their plan with their employers. Next, New changes number 2. COVID-19 concessions for skilled regional visa 887 visa applicants. And these changes are made to the application requirements of the skilled regional visa subclass 887. Previously, before the COVID-19 concessions, the requirements were that you have worked full-time for a year in a specified area of regional Australia while having lived there for 2 years. But due to the COVID-19, some 887 applicants lost their jobs and had to leave the country, making them unable to meet the requirements for the visa. In response to this, the Department of Home Affairs initiated a series of COVID-19 concessions for this visa in September 2020 and have not announced when this concession period will end. The changes made are as follows. So basically, this is for the concessions eligibility for the 887 visa applicants outside of Australia. Applicants outside of Australia can apply for visa 887 and will be granted visa 887 from their home country during the concession period. And some evidence that the applicant must provide are full-time work for 9 months in a specified regional area, or if the minister specifies a shorter period in a legislative instrument, that shorter period. And they are residing for 18 months in a specified regional areas, or if the minister specifies a shorter period in a legislative instrument, that shorter period. COVID-19 concessions eligibility for the 887 visa, and this is for the applicant in Australia. Applicants in Australia who lodged their visa 887 application during the concession period or within 3 months after the concession period ends must provide evidence of the 9 months of full-time work in a specified regional area and evidence of the 2 years of residence in a specified regional area. By simplifying the requirements for full-time work and time lived in the regional areas, it is more accommodating to those that lost their jobs or had to return to their home countries due to the pandemic. Also, these concessions will be a welcome news for the subclass 489 visa holders, as the 887 visa is their pathway towards getting permanent residence. Moving to the new changes number 3, which is allocation update for Northern Territory Skilled Migration Program. The Northern Territory government announced its updated General Skilled Migration Program on the 1st of December 2020. They declared that the Australian government has not put 2020-2021 allocated nomination quotas for Australian states and territories. Due to the condition, the Northern Territory has not received updated allocations for General Skilled Migration. Northern Territory government announced the previous allocation has been depleted. Hence, the government of the Northern Territory cannot issue any nominations for the General Skilled Migration applicants. Due to the situation, the Northern Territory government suspends the GSM program until further notice. However, the GSM nomination applications received before the 1st of December will continue to be assessed. And if your application is successful, you will only be issued a nomination under the Australian government, and once the Australian government has allocated quotas to the Northern Territory. For now, it might be difficult to get an invitation from the Australian employers anytime soon. It is due to the Northern Territory has yet to receive the nomination quotas. The condition applies for all applicants, including those who have met the NT nomination criteria. Even though the situation seems difficult to get the nomination from the Northern Territory, you cannot give up on your dream. It is better to prepare yourself from now. Hence, when the Northern Territory gets its nomination quotas, you will be able to apply for it right away. Next, the new changes number 4. PMSOL or Priority Migration Skilled Occupation List Update, New Occupation. In order to support the economic recovery from COVID-19 impact, the Australian government has just added a new occupation in the occupation list and called PMSOL. The Senator for Western Australia, Hon Michaela Cash, announced new priority skill list called the Priority Migration Skilled Occupation List or PMSOL. That will allow skilled migrant workers to enter Australia to fill the needs in critical sectors, thus supporting the recovery of Australia's economy from the COVID-19. The new occupation added in PMSOL COVID-19. Previously, there were 17 occupations in health, construction, and IT sectors included in the PMSOL. And these occupations are listed in your screen. Following the advice from National Skills Commission, social worker is added to occupation list in PMSOL on the 27th of November 2020. And the updated occupation list brings more opportunities for overseas skilled migrant workers to enter Australia. Moving to the new changes, number 5. Australian government continues its international travel ban until March 2021. Previously, Australian international travel ban has been imposed since the early of 2020 due to the COVID-19. Recently, the Australian government announced the extension of its international travel ban until March 2021, following the extension of the biosecurity emergency period. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Australian government, through the Australian Border Force, implemented a strict border measure for international flights. And currently, the Australian government only allows travel exemptions for people who has compelling reason to enter Australia. The majority of travel exemptions are processed in 7 days, but it will take a longer time for complex cases. Australian National Vaccination Policy suggested that Australian visitors are to be required to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination or hold 2 weeks of user-paced hotel quarantine. With this plan in place, the airline, together with the Australian government, is currently working on the management of COVID-19 vaccination passport. Next, we will talk about the new changes, number 6. COVID-19 update for temporary visa holders nightmare as Australia's border remains closed. As we know, coronavirus has been affecting many things in the world, including immigration sectors. The government of Australia is required to make crucial decisions in tackling these issues. The Morrison government has announced that the international borders will stay closed for a while, despite the country's success in reducing the number of COVID-19 cases. And for temporary visa holders, their future appears to be dark and uncertain. At the moment, the Australian government has closed its international borders since the early 2020 due to the spread of COVID-19 virus. And only Australian citizens, permanent resident, and their immediate family members are allowed to enter Australia. The Australian government has not announced the exact date for the international travel reopening, even until now. Due to the current situation, many Australian migrants, especially those who hold a temporary visa, cannot decide their plan yet. Most of you may have a question: how will it affect my temporary visa holders? Ever since Australia closed its international border to non-Australian citizens and residents, only 11% of all returning travelers were temporary visa holders who entered Australia after getting exemptions from the Australian Border Force Commissioner. While working toward establishing quarantine-free travel, this will keep temporary visa holders who do not fall under the critical sectors or skills category for travel exemptions or have any compassionate reason to re-enter the country remain stranded offshore. Moving to the new changes, number 7. Hope for Australians to travel overseas, and this is in regards to the regulation of a Trans-Tasman bubble. Looking at the current situation, overseas travel is difficult for Australians as COVID-19 pandemic has forced them to stay in the country since March 2020. Hence, Australians have had to postpone their overseas travel plans until the situation gets better. But there is a hope for Australians itching to travel as the Secretary of the Department of Health Australia, Brendan Murphy, announced Australians will likely be able to travel overseas in 2021 when the COVID-19 vaccinations becomes available. A Trans-Tasman travel bubble is likely to happen, and the announcement from New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern echoed the statement saying that Wellington will allow quarantine-free travel to and from Australia in the first quarter of 2021. And the Trans-Tasman bubble is a travel bubble which has been agreed between New Zealand's cabinet and the Australian government. The first phase of this bubble was introduced in October when New South Wales and the Northern Territory allowed New Zealanders to enter the country without mandatory hotel isolation. And since then, Queensland has done the same. Next is the new changes, number 8. Update Australia's business and investment visa changes. Changes on business and investment visa has been announced by the Morrison government, which aims to reform business and investors visa and maximize the economic benefits for Australia. And the current Business Innovation and Investment Program will now be cut back into 4 streams with tougher investment requirements as a part plan to support Australia's post-COVID-19 economic recovery. The new program will be reduced from 9 streams to the below 4 streams, which are business innovation, entrepreneur, investor, and significant investor. Under this new regulation, professional visa holders in all 4 streams will be able to apply for permanent residence if they meet the requirements after 3 years. However, the professional visas will not be valid for 5 years, meaning they have additional time to meet the requirements. These new changes will open up more opportunities for you who want to invest and manage a business in Australia, as the number of spots available in the BIIP has doubled from 6,862 in 2019-20 to 13,500. Next is the new changes, number 9. COVID-19 update, 2 visas program to reopen in Victoria. Recently, Victoria has announced to reopen 2 visa programs as there are no new COVID-19 cases for almost 2 months. And Victoria is slowly reopening after more than 4 months of COVID-19 lockdown, as well as opening up its visa programs for migrants. On Monday, 21st of December 2020, the Australian government has announced that 2020-21 Victorian Skilled Visa Nomination Program for the subclass 190 and 491 will recommence on Tuesday on the 5th of January 2021 with changes in eligibility requirements. There will be changes added to the state nomination criteria. Hence, it is best for you to check the latest requirements. The new requirements aim to improve Victoria's capacity to find the best businesses and investors in the world who will 1. Create new job opportunities for people in Victoria. 2. Encourage innovation in strategic sectors, for example, digital technologies, advanced manufacturing, health and life science, agri-food, new energy and emission reduction, circular economy and priority presenters. Number 3, generate forward-looking enterprises using their qualifications in the field of STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and medicine. To be qualified for the selection to apply for a Victorian skilled visa, you must meet the following criteria. So you can read on the table below, there's a different criteria between the subclass 491 and the subclass 190. It is a good opportunity for applicants who work in critical sectors, as more than 2,700 positions have been allocated for the Skilled Visa Nomination Program, the subclass 190 and 491. And it also opened up another pathway, an opportunity for those of you who want to obtain permanent residence by investing in Australia's future. And the latest update in December is the new changes number 10, which is options for parent migration Australia during pandemic. We all know the consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic seems to be never ending, especially for those Australians who live apart from their parents. The COVID-19 travel restriction issued by the Australian government has separated families, restricting them from being able to see their parents. And this situation forces Australian citizens and permanent residents who live apart from their parents to simply accept that they will have to live not knowing when they will ever see them again. Parent migration to Australia might seem difficult at the moment due to the COVID-19 travel restriction. Even though that your parents are not included in the definition of immediate family member in the COVID-19 travel restriction, there are still options available to reunite with your parents. What are the options? Okay, so you need to show a genuine and compelling reason. If you can show a compelling reason for your parents' travel exemption, you could have a chance to meet your parents. You can state your parents' urgent situation in your home country. For example, your parent is sick and no one takes care of your parents. Due to the death of your family member, your parents live alone by themselves in your home country. But if your compelling reason got rejected, what should you do? Are there any other options left? Yes, you still have other options. If the department rejected your compelling reason to be exempted from COVID-19 travel restriction, you could consider applying for a sponsored parent visa, the subclass 870, and contributory parent visa, the direct subclass 143 or subclass 173 visa. And by holding one of these visas, your parent can stay in Australia for 2 until 5 years, and even some subclasses allow them to stay permanently. Those are the new changes update for December 2020. And if you have any more questions, Wonderland Consulting is here to help you with any questions you may have. We specialize in complex visa cases, and as a registered migration agent, with the Migration Agent Registration Authority, we are regulated in our professional practice and bound by the Professions Code of Conduct issued by MARA. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our channel or visit our website for the latest news and helpful information.